Hey, welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm Wood. In this series, we're comparing two accounts that I started at the same time on the same day, and I'm playing the same way with one major difference. One account is free to play, the other has a monthly spending budget of $50. It's day 66. Let's check our progress. Green border around the free-to-play account, just like every day, so that you know as I go back and forth. What I'm going to do, I'm working on the fusion for the Packmaster Shy'ek, and I'm a little behind on a couple of the events. I'm trying to figure out what's the limit, what I can do. I think I can get the Packmaster fragments for most of the events. I don't think that's going to be the problem. The problem is going to run into, which events do I want to finish? Do I want to try and get the legendary book on the champion training, or should I save my energy for the Fire Night tournament that's coming up? Decisions like that. And so I'll just show you where I am and kind of how I'm looking at things like that. And maybe that, and hopefully that'll help you if you're doing the fusion, if you're kind of early game like my two accounts are. Where to spend your resources and how to manage that, and I'll just show you kind of the process that I go through, and it may not be the most efficient way of doing things. Also, okay, so you can see here on the free to play, we're looking at the summon rush, and I'm a little short on getting the champion fragments, the 10. I'm going to try and fill in with mystery shards. I'm also going to pull a couple of ancients that I've picked up in the last day or so. I think I have 5 on the budget account, and I do have 2 here on the free to play. The problem is, and this is the real issue that I've been facing right now. If you look at the voids just above my head there, you can see we've got Siphi and Necrit as the legendary, and Maneater as the epic. How great would it be to get a man? Now, I know it's not a 2 times for voids, but it would mean not having to open so many mystery shards. This is the way I'm justifying it to myself. So I decided to compromise with myself a little bit. I'm gonna lock in Maneater and Siphi there. Wouldn't it be great to get a Siphi though? With the Rotos, because this is the free to play account that we have a Rotos on. Just think about it. Well, that's probably, the chance of that happening is extremely remote. But if it did, that would be so. So I decided to compromise with myself here. I'm going to open 2 voids, and I'm going to leave 2 there just for the next 2 times voids. The truth is, we're probably more likely to get a Maneater on a 2 times void than we are to get on a progressive chance like this, where we don't have a 2 times chance to get an epic. It's only an 8% chance to get an epic right now on this weekend as it is. The progressive chance does not increase your likelihood of getting a higher rarity of champion. So I know it's a remote chance, but it would like I said, and it is true, it would mean opening a lot fewer mystery shards than we would have to otherwise. So I'm just to get us some points, I'm just going to open these ancient shards right here. I'm going to open 2, see what we have. I know that's probably going to be 2 rares, but that gives us 40 points each. Hey, a dupe Aethel, or a dupe Athel. And we can put her in Faction Guardian. That'll help our Sacred Order rares, which is mostly just Athel. That'll help her increase her stats a little bit. And it's a dog or a dwarf. It's a dog. It's a Goremaska, farmable rare, but also because we're going for Packmaster, I don't know. There's not going to be a lot of synergy with the dogs right now. With the dogs we have, the Goremask actually can hit kind of hard. He has a double hitter on his A1, and he just gets an increased 20% damage bump if he crits on his A2. But you can book that up to quite a bit of damage. Look at that, 10, 20, 35% more damage with that, and then 50. So it's a 55% damage increase if he crits, and then you get that on a 3-turn cooldown. It's a pretty hard hit. It's not, it's not the best in the game. And then he ignores shields and block damage on his A3. And this is a weird mechanic on Goremask on his A3. This champion will receive damage equal to 10% of their max HP. This will happen even if it kills the champion. So he's one of those, kind of death wish champions that that doesn't care if, you know, just to be able to do more damage. And I don't know why they did that, honestly. On the there's a few champions that sacrifice part of their HP on one of their skills, and they've stopped doing that. I haven't seen that in a few years. But yeah, when I first started playing the game, there was a couple of champions that do some weird things like that. All right, so Goremask. I'm stalling. I'm afraid to open 2 void shards. Here we go. Let's open 2 void shards. Let's give ourselves a chance, at least, to be able to say we at least gave ourselves a chance to get a man-eater or a Siffy, but mostly a man-eater, just to give us a good, you know, a good try to get a clan boss team. Arbalaster's used for the Broadmaw fusion, so we'll hang on to her to be able to do another Broadmaw. We've already got 2 Broadmaws now on this free-to-play account. And let's see. Come on, let's get a man-eater. Come on. Oh, okay. What do we have? It's a drowned bloat wraith. A bloated wraith that's drowned, and he uses an anchor. As he actually hits pretty hard. I had him through something, and I got looking at him, and he actually hits. He hits kind of hard, and he's got a stun on his A1. It does fear and decreased defense on his A2. He's, you know, I mean, I'm not suggesting you build a drowned bloat wraith. Most of the time, he's just food. But okay, so we at least did it. We said we did. We did what we said we could do here. That gave us our fragments for the summon rush. Oh no, it didn't. It gave us our speed glyph. So we are short still. Where are we at? We're about 300 points short. I can do that with mystery shards. That's not going to be too big of a problem. So we still have some champ training to do. I'll show you where we are in the champ training. But we do have all of our fragments, okay? So I think what I'll do is I'll just pull the mysteries that I need to and put that into some champ training and see if we can get a few more of these rewards. The other thing is that with the dungeon divers and the Fire Knight that is coming up, they overlap each other by a little less than a day. I think it's like 5 or 6 hours less than a day, if I remember right. But we do need to get up here and get that on the dungeon divers. Because there are 3 dungeon divers, I think there are 3. Yeah, just looked at the calendar. There are 3 dungeon divers events. And because we're so deep in this one, I think it totally makes sense to do this one while we're doing the dungeon events that coincide with it. And then if we do want to skip one, it'll be hopefully at the end, and maybe we can skip some of the dungeon event that's going on at the same time, so we're not wasting, you know, energy. But I really think we need to get up and do this one. Doing the champ training helps with that also if you're doing it in campaign. If you're just using brews, obviously that doesn't work. But doing the champ training in campaign helps with getting your dungeon divers points. It's not quite as efficient as doing dungeons, but it's not bad. I will be trying to get the epic book in the Ice Golem tournament. And I'm just showing free to play right now. I am going to go over to the budget account and show you our progress there too. It's kind of funny. And so if you look up here also, we're pretty low on gems. I've been using gems for energy refills, and because we don't have the daily gem pack on here, it's a significant difference in the number of gems we've had to use to be able to get to that point in most of these events. Okay, so on tournaments, on Classic Arena, we still have some work to do, but I think we've got plenty of time to be able to get up and get these fragments. It's just hard to find wins. I keep refreshing the page, but yeah, I've talked about that a lot, where in Gold 1 it's hard to find wins for Classic Arena, and at the stage we are. I need to do, and then we also need to do artifact enhancement. You can see here on Ice Golem, we did get the fragments, but we still have the epic book to go, and I think it makes sense to go ahead and finish that, especially since we're still doing the dungeon divers, and we have quite a few points to make up there. And we probably won't have time in Fire Knight to be able to do the whole Fire Knight tournament in one day. And it's funny because the perspective is so different. On my main account, I can just run a whole bunch of Fire Knight in a few hours, and in hard or doing 20 normal if I'm trying to be efficient. But I can just run it all, in a few hours one day and take care of it. But on these accounts, it takes a lot more time, and I'm having trouble with multi-battles. And I think, I don't know if it's because I'm using BlueStacks or not. I could do the macro thing on BlueStacks, but I just, frankly, I haven't learned how to do it. So yeah, I've just been coming in here and clicking, and it's, it's a grind, but I'm working on it. Yeah, so as far as tournaments go, yeah, we've got a tag team arena tournament coming up. I hate when they do these where they overlap the weekend. Everybody knows that between Monday and Thursday is when they should be having these tag arena tournaments so that we can farm more points, but because that's when people mostly set their one-man defense. If you didn't know this, that's when people mostly set their one-man defenses on tag arena, and then you flip it on Thursday night or Friday morning. I usually flip mine to full defense so that I can stay in my tier, whatever tier I'm at, or if I'm trying to advance, I can work my way up. And a lot of players do that, and it just gives a chance to get the awards. And the last few of these tag arena tournaments, they've been overlapping them over the weekend. In fact, the last one I think was mostly just on the weekend, and it didn't really give us a chance. I mean, some players are just so good at tag arena, and they're willing to spend the time on the tougher defenses that then they'll win those tournaments easily. But for me, I like to just farm the one-man defenses and get my points that way. It's a lot. I have other thing to do, and so anyways, so Fire Night coming up in less than 15 hours from the time I'm recording this. I'm going to finish Ice Golem, I'm going to finish Classic Arena, so but that's only 5 more with tournaments there, and then there's going to be 5 on the Fire Night. And on events, we've got Artifact Enhancement here. That's a 3-day event, fortunately. They're really busy today over the weekend. Once a couple of these things, especially the champ training, are out of the way, I'll have more time to spend to do the Artifact Enhancement more efficiently. If you want to go, I did a video on kind of my method for upgrading artifacts, and it's a silver savings, but the main thing about it is you end up upgrading a lot more artifacts. So I've got that video recorded on my channel, so if you want to go ahead and look at that if you're interested, that it can save you a little bit of silver. I know there's a lot of content creators that have done videos on that too, and I think more information is helpful, so go check all those out as well. But yeah, so Artifact Enhancement, this shouldn't be too bad on the free to play. We've got quite a bit of silver. In fact, it's actually not enough silver. If we were just doing the traditional, just level it up to 16 and just we wouldn't have enough silver to do it that way, but I think we have enough to do it this way, and at least we have to get up to get the fragments for that. There are 3 of the Artifact Enhancement events during this Fragment Summon event also. Yeah, so I showed Dungeon Divers. That's where we are. I think between what we have left to do today and between Fire Night, we should be able to do that. Yeah, I think that covers the free to play as far as where we stand on the Fragment Summon. I'll just show you the fragments that we've been able to collect so far. Oh, and just in case you're interested, I've got the 34 Drexstar fragments. Not exactly where I'd like to be yet. I've got 24 Archmage, and then Shy'ek, I'm at 20. We should be around half of them at the end of the weekend. And then your Carl, I've started collecting some fragments from the clan shop for Yakarl. I like Yakarl. I think he's more useful early game than Yannicka is. I think Yannika's good too, and I think she's worth going for in the clan shop. If I'm spending resources in the clan shop, the way I see it, you go for Yakarl first because he has the control to him. He's got all the freeze, and then you go for Yannicka to help you improve in arena. That's sort of the way I look at it. All right, so that gets us there on the free to play. Oh, also, I wanted to mention they had a promo code that came out yesterday, and I hadn't seen there weren't too many content creators that did information on it. I already collected it on here, but I'll just type it in so you can see it on the screen. It's DR24. If you didn't know about that one yet, it's DR24, and yeah, I already got it. So I think it still works. It worked yesterday. So sometimes the promo codes can be kind of funny. They deactivate them sometimes when too many people know. I don't know what they're afraid of, but it's 1 energy refill. I think it was 15 brews, 3-day XP banner, and 300,000 silver. So it's not a huge promo code, but every little bit helps, right? So let's go over to the budget account, and you can see I'm kind of deep into the day here. I know I said it's day 66, but we're close to day 6. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. We are close to day 67. Yeah, we got our epic book for day 66, and we're going to get 500 energy, and that'll really help on the free-to-play account. You noticed I was down under 1,000 gems. So for energy and being able to finish with the dungeon divers, that energy is going to save our bacon on that one. So it'll be good. And let's see. Yeah, so here on the budget account, I'm actually a little bit further behind on the budget than I was on the free to play. I do know why. It's because we got Rotos. We got Rotos on the free to play. What that allowed us to do was to summon way fewer ancient shards last weekend on the 2x ancients. And then, so we had a bunch of ancients to summon for this summon rush, and that gave us a lot more champ training points because I was able to feed brews into all of those rares that we pulled, and I also fed brews into the epics that we're going to keep. But it's really interesting how one good RNG event that happens to your account can actually domino and knock over a whole bunch of other good RNG for you. And having bad RNG there's consequences to that too. It's been kind of fascinating to watch how the two accounts, one is I have more gems and I have more resources on this budget account, but I'm kind of in the same place as the free to play, and I'm even behind in a couple of ways. I'm ahead on Clan Boss. That is one really good thing. On Clan Boss, we're a comfortable 4 key on Nightmare, which gives us a chance to get a Sacred Shard every day. So, or actually 2 chances, because we're collecting 2 chests every day on Nightmare. But yeah, you can see I've only got the 15 fragments here. I'm a little bit behind, and I've only got the 5 Carl, and that was just because I think one week I forgot. I just forgot to do it on the budget account here. And that's things like that are going to happen on both accounts. I'm going to make mistakes on both, and so I'm the control in this experiment. The mistakes I make are probably going to even out over both accounts over the year that I'm doing this experiment. That said, let's look at the events. So yeah, we've got artifact enhancement. Haven't really done very much. I've done a little bit more on this. I wanted to improve some of my Adeline gears. I did a little bit of enhancement there yesterday, but yeah, so we've got these 5 fragments. That shouldn't be too big of a problem, but we do have less silver. But yeah, we've got about 10 million less silver on the budget account than we had on the free to play, and that was because I spent some silver over clan versus clan, the one that we just had. I spent some silver improving the champions I'm using in my clan boss team. And that has helped us get to that point where we're doing the 4 key on Nightmare. So it's kind of a catch-22, now I don't have the silver, but I'm getting the better clan boss rewards, or at least the chance for better rewards. Today, got kind of skunked today, but champ training, I'm not there yet on champ training. I still have a little ways to go here to get the fragments. So I'm going to be working on that, but I do have more gems. You can see I've got over 3,000 gems, so that shouldn't be a problem. I should have the energy to do it, and now it's just the time. It's just spending the time on it, so I need to hurry and edit this video, get it out to you, and then I can work on that. Yeah, and so you can see Summon Rush down here. I'm a little further behind on Summon Rush because I didn't have 60 ancient shards like on the free to play, because I spent a lot more of them trying to get something legendary or whatever on the 2x ancients. I will be pulling my ancient shards here now. Yeah, and then dungeon divers, you can see I still have some work to do on dungeon divers. Yeah, pretty much in the same place on dungeon divers as on the free to play. But it's just been it's kind of fascinating where I haven't been playing the free-to-play more than the budget, and I've been playing pretty much the whole time. I just go back and forth clicking. You just have one, stroke of good luck, and it actually permeates throughout the rest of the account, and it's really kind of interesting how those things work out. And yeah, getting a good legendary champion can mean a lot, not just in what that champion can do, but what it can mean in saving you some resources, down the line or something. So it's been kind of interesting. And so I did have to open some sacred shards, and we're hoping for 2x sacreds next weekend, but I don't think that's a guarantee. In fact, they could go 2x primals next weekend also. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think anybody really knows for sure, because since they introduced the primal shards, it hasn't been the ancient sacred void rotation consistently. They've been generally keeping it that way, but not always. And so sometimes they'll throw a primal in there just without any kind of warning. So I'm not convinced 100% that it's going to be 2x sacred this weekend, but I still didn't want to spend the sacreds on this account to be able to do this summon rush. But I thought it made more sense to do this one than wait for the champion chase and then hope that we get enough, good champions in that to be able to get all the points necessary. Plus, we don't know what those points are going to be. So because this one's within reach, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the same thing, just to be fair. I'm going to open the same 2 void shards just to give myself a chance to get a man-eater. It would be really great on this budget account too. Even though we're doing okay on Clan Boss, I'd love to have an unkillable team and be able to 1-key Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare. That's the dream, right? So we'll work on that. But okay, so here we go. We're going to open 5 Ancient Shards. I left Mausoleum Mage in here. We did get the Mausoleum Mage, but I'm going to take him out and put in the Sepulchre Sentinel because we have him. We do have the Mausoleum Mage now on both accounts, which is really good. One thing I didn't mention about Mausoleum Mage is all the buffs he puts up. On the free-to-play account, we have a Seer. That's going to really help with her. That's just going to give her a bunch of buffs, and maybe we'll put him in a shield set or something and really, help our Seer do as much damage as possible. 5 Ancient Shards, plus they're giving us double points, double what they normally give us. For a summon rush here, they're giving us 40 points per ancient. Normally it's 20. So I'm gonna open these 5. That'll give us 200 more points for the summon rush. So here's the first one. What do we have here? Another rare, and it's a Slayer. Slayer, Ox, and what's the other one? It starts with a B. There's another Spikehead. That is so weird. I keep getting Spikehead. Spikehead is food for the Rosin Fusion. In fact, he's one of the rare food for the Torture Helm who looks exactly the same, but he's the epic version of Spikehead. There's another Perforator. He makes holes in things. Lots of perforations. Another, was it here? I think we already had a Sentinel. It's crazy how many dupes with all the rares in this game. It's crazy how many dupes I've gotten on both accounts. Really crazy. All right, one more. It would be really nice to get something good. Just a big stroke of luck. Nope, not today. Ogren Jailer. Ogren Jailer's cool though. I like him. It's just, it's not viable to build an Ogren even as early as we are. He hits hard. He has some buff stealing that he does, but by the time you finish building an Ogren Jailer, you're going to have 3 other champions that should move up ahead of him in the priority list. I've already got a ton of epics on this account to build, and we're 2 months in. So he's cool, and if you only had an Ogren Jailer on your account, he would do a pretty good job for you, but he's just not. He's never going to be a priority, which is kind of sad too, because there's a lot of cool rares. It's just you're never going to have the resources to be able to build everything that you pull. That's just sort of the way I see it. All right, so Siphi. I like Necrit. I love Necrit. I pulled Necrit very early on my main account when I started playing 3.5 years ago, and he's fantastic almost everywhere in the game. But it's Siphi. Siphi is so good, and Maneater would just be. Maneater would be so nice to have on the budget account. All right, let's see what 2 Void Shards just to make things fair. I'm just trying to be fair here. No. I don't care what Saf did in Clan Boss. Saf had a video. He was trolling Ash a little bit. He made a really fun video about how much damage Harrier could do in the most ideal situation possible, I might add. Which, yeah, you're never going to put Harrier in that situation. No, you wouldn't want to put that many resources into a Harrier. I'm just saying. Anyway, yeah, he's going to be one of the few Void champions that I'm just going to use as food without even thinking about it. Let's get a Maneater, just because. Nope. Hey, that's actually good, though. Veteran is cool. I love Veteran. Veteran is the only rare that I have built in the Orcs on my main account, and I use him in Faction Wars. He has a decreased attack on his A1. It is a really good chance. Let's see. What is it? It's 50% chance Yeah, he's got a 50% chance of decreased attack on his A1. It's 2-turn, and it's the big version of decreased attack. So he's really cool. His A2, Headhunter, attacks one enemy, places 30% increased crit rate buff on all allies for 3 turns. That's huge. 3 turns if the target is killed, okay? Damage inflicted is proportional to defense. So he's got this weird defense and attack on his A2, and it's just defense on his A1, and then defense and HP on his A3. But his A3 is AoE, and he has 60% chance of block buff. So he put sniper on him, extra 5% for both those skills. Really, that's actually really solid, and he doesn't weak hit because he's void. And then he has speed in dungeons by 15%. I've never tried to use veteran in dungeons. There's no reason to do that. It would be nice if he had a faction wars. This is one of the rare occasions when you wish the aura was faction wars, because it's really the only place you're going to use a veteran usually. I mean, unless you're super early game and that's what you pull, maybe you would build him for that. But anyway, even being only 2 months in, I'm not thinking of building a veteran for anything other than just faction wars. Some people will use him in clan boss or something if they don't have a really good decrease attack option. But we started with Taragi the Frog, and we had Adeline as our 7-day login, so we've got decrease attack pretty much covered. All right, that puts us a little bit further ahead on Summon Rush on the budget account, and so here again I will have to fill in with some mystery shards. So we'll do some more champ training with mystery shards. And that costs silver. That everything costs silver, and so I don't want to do too much and use a bunch of silver, but we really need these 10 fragments so that if we do have to skip something later, I'm just hoping to be able to skip things at the end. We'll go limping into the end of the fragment, and once we get to the end of this fragment summon event, we're just going to hold on to the fragments until they benefit us in some other way, either a personal rewards clan versus clan tournament, or another fusion in a champ chase where we could pull him to give us those points that will assist in the next fusion coming up. So that's kind of the plan here. I just figure out that is the first spike head. I think I have 2 spike heads on the free to play. Everything kind of gets jumbled. I'm playing both accounts at the same time. Sometimes I can't remember which account is or which champion is on which account. get a little confused. I haven't made the mistake of spending money on the free-to-play account yet. That's good, but I'm not guaranteeing. I really will try not to do that. Whenever I do spend money on the budget account, I've been really careful, double checking and say, okay, wait, is this the budget account? so that's not gonna be a problem. But yeah, Spikehead being food for the rosin fusion, that really helps us. Let's look and see where we're at there. If nothing else, to get us our torture helm. Okay, so we got Halberdier is the only one that we have left for torture helm. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, getting closer all the time on that one. We did do a Lich. Last weekend we had a champion chase, and I did do Lich to get some more points for that. So that one's kind of finished. And then on the free-to-play account, I'll go back over here and show you that. Yeah, see, on the free-to-play account, we pulled an Araness last week, so we don't have to do that. So we don't have to do that part of the fusion, although we can if we want to get a duplicate of her. And I noticed that also, you're still able to fuse one of those epics, even if you've already fused or pulled that epic. So you can do as many of those epics as you want to. It's conceivable that you could do as many of those epics as you wanted before doing your rosin fusion. So that might be a strategy. I've never tried doing that before. Usually I just get the 4 epics that I need and then just fuse the rosin but then it's gone. Once you do that, the fusion is gone. So I didn't know that you could actually do these epics more than once, but I did fuse the Lich and he's still there, so it looks like you could still do that. But yeah, and on this account we're doing okay, not as well as on the budget account, just for whatever reason, just RNG. So that's where I am on the Fragment Summon event for the Shy Guy. Where are you? Are you doing this one? Did you decide to do it or not? And yeah, and let me know. I've had some really nice, I just want to thank everybody. I have seen some of the comments. I haven't always responded to every one of them, but I've seen some of the comments and I've just had some really encouraging things that people have said, and it really means a lot to me, and so I thank you if you're one of those people that has made one of those comments, or even if you agree with any of those really nice comments that have been made. But if you have any advice for me or anything like that, also I'm perfectly happy to hear that, and will accept constructive criticism at any moment. It may not always 100% affect my decision that I make, but I will listen. Okay, I promise I will always listen, take your perspective into account and trying to add that. I think it's important to be, flexible that way. And I have changed my mind on a few things, and I try not to be stubborn in some of the things I'm doing here. One of the comments that I got last week, I think it was last week, maybe it was a couple weeks ago, talking about the raid card. I'm not seeing the impact as much on the raid card as I thought I would now. I thought I was seeing it kind of early on, but in doing the champ training this time, where I don't have a forge pass going. That forge pass is so much more impactful than just the raid card. And I know, the raid card is it's $50 over the 6 months, so it's less than $10 a month. So it doesn't seem like that big of an expense. But it only counts in campaign. The silver and XP boost only counts in campaign battles. The extra multi-battles, to me, that doesn't really matter. I'm having trouble with the multi-battles working on some of the dungeons. On campaign, they seem to work fine, but on dungeons, it's not really working. But yeah, I'm seeing, and so I'm not positive I'm going to do the raid card again. I may do it just because I think it's more efficient than some of the other options that we have for spending in the game. Somebody made the comment that they bought the raid card once and they just didn't feel like it was a good value. And I'm starting to maybe agree with that, because the savings that you have with the campaign, with the experience and the silver, you might be able to make up for at least for the XP boost. You might be able to make up for that with a few more 4-star champions. If you had some more shards and pulled some more champions, just having those stars on those champions, as even if they're all just chickens, might be more impactful than that boost. So I'm starting to look at things a little bit differently that way. But the Forge Pass was huge, and I was just hoping that they would come out with another Forge Pass soon, because I think that would really help with this champ training event. We will be having another champ training tournament. I think it starts on Wednesday or something like that. So hopefully we'll have another Forge Pass soon, and the budget account will get a little bit more of a boost. But I think we're fine either way. I've got enough. You can see I've got enough gems. We should be just fine. I'm just gonna run because I can see my energy getting close to capping out here. I'm just gonna, for efficiency's sake, I'm just gonna run some Ice Golem. I've been farming on 14 on Ice Golem, and that's not the most efficient thing to do, but I'm trying to strike this balance of reliability and efficiency, and also being able to get some good gear. We've got it 2 times on cursed gear. The cursed gear is going to be helpful for us later. It may not be helpful for us right now, but it will make a difference when we start doing, entry level into Hydra. So that's all I had for today. I went a little longer than I wanted to because I have a lot to do to try and do this fusion, and I also have a life. I've got other things in my life that I have to do as well, although they haven't seen me for a while. No one in my life has seen me for a little while, so I might have to make an appearance here and there. Thank you for watching. I'm grateful to everybody who's watched, who has pushed the subscribe button, I think there's people who have pushed the notification bell too, because I've noticed there's a few people who are watching the videos right when they come out. So thank you so much. It means a lot to me, and I am grateful. So I hope it's also helpful for you as well. As I go through my thought process, maybe that will kind of jog something in you if you're trying to do the same types of things, or if you're looking at doing the fusion and deciding where to put your energy in the events. This is just the way I see it and the way I look at it, but I'm trying to do kind of the same thing on both accounts. So I hope those things make sense to you. I'm going to keep grinding away. I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to fail getting this fragment summon. I think it's going to be important to both accounts to have a champion pretty early on that does a very reliable block buffs and also the taunt. And then the cool synergy with the dogs is I think that's just sort of a bonus with this champion. So I hope you're well. I've been Wood, and I appreciate you.